Good morning. You're watching The Morning Show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati.
I'm Ayon Mairo Esse.
And I'm Rufai Oseni. And we've got a great show lined up for you for the next 3 hours. So sit back, relax, and let's kickstart your day. Because The Morning Show begins right now.
Criticism has continued to trail the comments of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the ruling All Progressives Congress presidential candidate in the forthcoming general election in Nigeria. The APC presidential candidate, apart from his great promises at various campaign rallies, has continued to make comments that have drawn reactions from opposing political parties. Last week, the former Lagos State governor, while campaigning at a rally in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, said that the powers that be wanted to scuttle his chances at the election slated for the 25th of this month. Also speaking at another rally held at the UJS Suene Stadium in Calabar, Cross Rivers State capital on Tuesday, Tinubu said that Buhari's government met the Naira-dollar exchange rate at 200 Naira to $1, but it has depreciated to about 800 Naira to the dollar at the parallel market. However, the APC Presidential Campaign Council has stated that Bola Tinubu did not attack President Muhammadu Buhari when he spoke about the country's exchange rate. Also, in a statement issued yesterday, Bayo Onanuga, the campaign's media director, said the People's Democratic Party, PDP, created the current exchange rate crisis experienced by the country. Joining us later on this show to discuss the campaign activities of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC, ahead of the 2023 general election in Nigeria, is Biodun Ajiboye, Assistant Director, Media and Publicity, Tinubu Shettima Campaign Council.
Moving things along, we shall be engaging the APC governorship candidate in Rivers State, Tonye Cole, over the various attacks witnessed by their campaign team and the latest withdrawal of PDP-approved rally venue by Governor Wike, citing a link to the APC. Also joining us on the show to discuss his vision and mission is Abiodun Abubakar Dabiri, the candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos State for the Lagos Central Senatorial District.
Let's catch up on news making headlines across the globe. Michael Wilson will give us an update on global business outlook. Rotso will give us an update on Africa business activities across the continent. We'll also review today's newspaper with Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ofeni, while Audrey Okbe will fill us in on what's trending around the world. It's going to be all that and a whole lot more today on The Morning Show. Welcome back to The Morning Show right here on the Rise News channel. It's now time to take a look at news stories making headlines around the globe. Federal government says it's not aware of anybody within the presidential villa that is working against the candidates in the presidential election. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, was responding to a question on the allegations raised by the Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai that some people in Aso Rock are working to frustrate the victory of APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu. Mohammed says that the government has been fair to all candidates regardless of the party affiliation.
One thing I can assure you is that no matter who, this administration is focused and determined to ensure a free and fair election. And I think this administration and those that matter now, who are the most important person in this administration to me is Mr. President. And I think he has shown by words and by deed that he is committed to a free, fair and credible election. And fair, free and credible election actually means not favoring anybody or disadvantaging anybody. And everywhere he goes, he makes that very clear. Even as recently as Friday, when he was in Daura, he said the same thing. So if there's anybody who's working against any candidate, we don't know officially.
A lot to talk about this morning, Aya.
Yes, well, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, I can't remember who it was I was saying recently that we haven't seen or heard from him in a while. He seemed to have gone quiet, alongside a few other people in President Muhammadu Buhari's cabinet in recent times. But let me just take out that last statement that he said before, the end of that video. He said, we don't know officially who is, if there's anyone who's working against any candidate. So the term officially, they don't know officially. So there may be unofficial people, in the presidential villa, as said by Governor Nasir El-Rufai yesterday in an interview, that there were people in Aso Rock who were working against or sabotaging the campaign of the APC's presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So in recent times, in the past few months, we've been talking about the internal crisis within PDP. With that, we had the emergence of the G5 governors, and their grievances are clear as to why they would not be supporting, or perhaps might not be supporting their presidential candidate, around issues with zoning and fairness. So we understand who, and we understand why. The difference with the APC internal wrangling is that there are accusations and counter-accusations that we've seen here as to the sabotaging of the presidential campaign of their candidate. Alhaji Lai Mohammed speaking from, on behalf of his principal, President Muhammadu Buhari, saying there's nothing like that. However, Governor Nasir El-Rufai, who's been around with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu on campaign grounds, is crying out that there are people who had their preferred candidates during the APC primaries who are trying to sabotage, citing recent policies, which he says, in fact, he dissociated the APC and his candidate from some of these policies. For instance, the removal of subsidies, saying that that was a personal choice, not a party stance. This election is becoming more about the candidate as opposed to party alliance, party affiliations, or party faithfulness, as we have seen in a number of times. Again, in recent times, we've seen the body language, if I could put it that way, of the president. Out of the campaigns that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been on, the president has been to only 4 so far. Indeed, earlier this year, he had released a statement, or Mr. Festus Keyamo had said that the president was going to be going around with him and mentioned a few states. So it's not difficult to begin to suspect that there are indeed cracks. The big question then is, who are these people? Why is it that they're, what do they have against their presidential candidate? And how would that affect his chances on February 25? Only 23 days to go, and I believe there will be more revelations in the coming days.
All right, Dr. Bati.
Well, political parties are organizations, and like organizations, every organization, they have different tendencies, disparate views. What is important is how the members of the political party are able to work together to achieve a particular purpose. I've said it again and again, that political parties are organized to win elections, not, just to campaign, but to win, to get results. So here, the problem we have is a clear demonstration of the fact that there is division within the All Progressives Congress. Whether we know who the individuals are or we do not know, what is clear is that there is division within the party. Twice, in Abeokuta and also in Calabar, the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress has had cause to criticize the present dispensation in the country with regard to the exchange rate, with regard to fuel scarcity, with regard to the Naira redesign policy. His spokespersons have said he's not talking about the president, he's talking about the People's Democratic Party that is not even in power at the moment at the center. But I think Shehu Sani, Comrade Shehu Sani, former senator representing Kaduna Central, put his fingers on it when he said on Twitter yesterday that what we're facing here is that when Asiwaju Tinubu throws stone in the direction of Aso Rock, he will say, no, the stone is meant for Zuma Rock, which is just behind Aso Rock, which I find quite witty as a means of expressing what is happening. However, what we have seen is that it's not only Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu that has misgivings about what is going on at the center. We have the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, coming out frontally to say that indeed what Asiwaju said, is true. And his position, as the APC-PCC pointed out, is self-explanatory. And he said, don't blame Emefiele for Naira redesign. The president did it in the past. He said, look, the subsidy being kept there is not the policy of the party. Why are they still keeping it? Even if he must redesign the Naira, he says this is not the time, for it to be done because it doesn't make economic sense at this time. He has received, in that regard, the tacit support of the First Lady of Nigeria, Mrs. Aisha Buhari, who posted, the video of Nasir El-Rufai yesterday. But we hope that they will get to a point whereby the gladiators in this APC drama would have the courage to name names, as they are doing in the People's Democratic Party, so that we are not in the dark. Nigerians have a right to know who is behind whatever is causing friction within the APC. But instructively yesterday, the APC Presidential Campaign Council launched what they call the Thinking Cap Hub. Now is the time. It's not only the APC that should put on the thinking cap. Everybody should start thinking out of the box, because that's the only thing that can move this country forward beyond the crisis of internal democracy that the two major political parties appear to have.
I think there are reactions coming to what Mr. Nasir El-Rufai said yesterday. And it's obvious that there's fire on the mountain. And when there's fire, everybody runs. Including the things hidden in the house will run. It is when there's fire that you see rats used to be in the house before, that you never knew was there. The rats too will run for their dear life. So there's fire everywhere. Why is the APC so disgruntled with President Muhammadu Buhari's resolve to give Nigerians free and fair election? Why does the APC feel threatened by President Muhammadu Buhari trying to leave a legacy of free and fair election? Why is his party always complaining and attacking President Muhammadu Buhari, the same man they called their hero 4 years ago? All President Muhammadu Buhari has done is to put in place the mechanism for free and fair elections. So why does the APC feel attacked all of a sudden? When Governor Nasir El-Rufai talks about subsidy, I laugh. Are these not the people in 2012 that went to protest against Goodluck Jonathan when he wanted to remove the subsidy? So why are they talking about it today? Hypocrisy everywhere. Governor Nasir El-Rufai is saying that some people internally are trying to scuttle the chances of the APC presidential candidate. He should name them. If he has the nerve to name them, he should name them. And let us see those people. Because it's so easy for them to say now that this was a party decision. I ask again, the same party that said they were going to devolve power, restructure, that Governor Nasir El-Rufai led the committee for writing the outline, how restructuring is going to go, the reports. Did the party restructure? Did they see anything about it? So why are we being hypocritical now? When they are divergent tunes. It is when it doesn't favor them, they say they are saboteurs within their own party. But they forget in a hurry that they were strange bedfellows cobbled together. I think it's beginning to show now that what you see to be the APC is a collection of APGA, PDP, ACN, and other strange bedfellows coming together. So please, they should not complain. And they should leave President Muhammadu Buhari their own gifts to Nigerians to continue his works.
All right, well, it's time for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we'll have Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni join us to review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.
been running my business on my own, trying my best to get it to the next level, but I really need some help to get ahead. I know just what to do, I'll vault it for my loans, overdraft, step by step to my dream business, we vault. Salary earners, entrepreneurs, get your loans with no collateral. Quick sign up, zero paperwork, step by step to your dream business with Vault.
Vault is available to individuals, SMEs, and corporate customers. Download Vault by Polaris Bank from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to get started today.
Hey, Iskilu, báwo la ti fẹ́ sanwó ni? Farabalẹ̀. 1,000. We go wash plate tire o. Farabalẹ̀ now.
Madam, èló lówó wa?
Brother, na 3,005.
Màá fún yín ní owó òpè káàdì Glo ẹlẹ́gbẹ̀rún 10,000.
Oh yeah.
Bring your phone.
Ha! 10,000.
1,000 naira credit. Now you dey turn to 10,000.
No. All of us don't know about Glo Berekete. Ní ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá nísìnyí.
Ṣé o ti gbọ́? Ìlọ́po mẹ́wàá ló máa gbà lórí iyekíye tó o bá rà sórí ohun ìpè Glo Berekete 10 times rẹ.
I told you. Na what I go tell.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, we start the review with this day Nigeria's newspaper of record. The lead story: Federal government replies El-Rufai, says Buhari focused on delivering free, fair polls, declares no villa staff working for or against any of the presidential candidates. Kaduna governor alleges some elements in villa sabotaging Tinubu. APC gets Aisha Buhari's backing. El-Rufai exonerates Emefiele from Naira redesign blame. PCC says Buhari most important person in presidency. Yes, what has been talk on the sidelines has now been brought to national prominence, the forefront of political discourse, by no less a person than Nasir El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State. Of course, his statement is that interview he granted, that there are elements within the villa, the presidency that are working against the ruling party and its presidential candidate, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Well, the defense put by the Minister of Information yesterday, I don't know whether that is sufficient to doubt anything, but Aisha Buhari, well, is Tommy Petrel in her own right, wade into this matter when she posted El-Rufai's interview on her Instagram page, tacitly, implicitly endorsing the statement as it were. Now, the problem of the APC coming to the fore, division cracks, some will say, but from immediately after the party's convention, where Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu emerged as the candidate of the party, it's like the fellows that came together, I don't want to add strange there, seem to be looking in different directions. Where is Rotimi Amici, who came second? You say, well, the leader of the new PDP that joined to form the APC at the onset. Where is Rochas Okorocha, who moved the faction of ABGA into the APC party? And you ask, where are the APP bigwigs, like Ogbonnayonu, who lost gallantly at that APC convention to pick the presidential candidate? So apparently, what seemed to be playing out is that the cracks seem to be now wide open for all to see, because you hardly see any of these guys on the campaign trail of the presidential candidate of the APC. But now the attack on the president by the APC presidential candidate added another dimension. Many have said the president has been tepid in his support of the party's candidate. Well, not even when he reeled off a list of venues where he will be campaigning for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has even doused that situation. And of course, it's like the gloves are off and punches being pulled from here and there. But we'll see how these will work out for the APC. I know if some other persons will be singing a familiar song somewhere as it sweet them, as it sweet us, and they will complete the rest. Now, of course, other newspapers are reporting this story. The Guardian newspaper, Buhari for free poll, not against any candidate, federal government replies El-Rufai. And of course, the New Telegraph also has that story. Presidency, El-Rufai alleges Aso Rock elements working against Tinubu. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, Presidency APC reacts as El-Rufai accuses some people inside Villa of working against Tinubu. Now, the Nation newspaper also have that story. El-Rufai, elements in government working against Tinubu. Yes, the Naira redesign and fuel scarcity are the handiwork of fifth columnists who want to bring the country down, quoting El-Rufai there. Now, the Punch newspaper looking at the situation about the Naira, new Naira scarcity. Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, border residents trade in CFA. Customers without new Naira notes must pay CFA. Traders insist. Banking halls empty. LCCI says Naira swap poor, affecting businesses. ICPC arrests currency hawker. Angry youth protest in Ekiti, Delta State. And of course, the Daily Trust also reporting on the new Naira redesign. Naira scarcity, hardship lingers as businesses, travels suffer, online transaction fail, chaos at banks, customers fight. Then the Leadership newspaper, Naira swap. Bank chiefs challenge CBN on quantity of new notes As Nigerians lament cash crunch, NLC blames corruption, systemic failure for scarcity. Review measures to ease hardship, Atiku tells Emefiele. Now, the situation has not improved in the banks. I was surprised yesterday when a full-blown lady I know very well was almost crying. She said she went into one of the banks and could only be given 1,000 naira.
Full-blown lady and a woman with full-blown. Mind your language.
Okay, well, okay, I'll take that back. Your interpretation of my is quite different from what I had in mind, but I know where you're going. Now, but the story is this. 1,000 naira was all she could get. 1,000 naira, that is in the 100 naira bills and 50 naira bills. She was almost crying. I had to pull out my purse and do charity again. And for once, 2,000 naira looked like big money, Ruben. This is a good time to do charity because you won't spend too much and you will be praised. But it's serious that we still have this situation. Apparently, you ask, why did the CBN not begin this currency swap they are doing at the local level from the onset? Because many in the rural areas are having problems exchanging their old currency. And you see what the Punch is reporting, what is happening in the border towns in Sokoto, Zamfara, Katsina, and other states that border Niger Republic. Customers without new Naira notes must pay CFA. And of course, they're now using the currency used by the Francophone countries for transaction in Nigeria because of this currency redesign that we can say has not been implemented with excellence. In fact, excellence is even a foul word to use. There is problem. Who to blame? Banks are saying that the CBN has not given them enough of this currency. And the CBN governor is saying banks are the problem because they are hoarding or giving this currency to big names who come and take this to go and spray at parties, and unscrupulous bank officials selling this currency to people who go and sell at parties, Owambe parties, where people buy to spray. Now, if we just look at the Business Day newspaper, blame is new petrol as NNPC oil marketers overwhelmed. Now we've had meetings. The president set up a committee chaired by himself, and the NNPC has been meeting with stakeholders, but we still have long queues, empty fuel stations, empty pumps, not dispensing anything, and the chaos and the suffering continues at petrol station. And of course, commuters are also paying the price, paying high transport fare with monies they're looking for through tears. Now, the Guardian newspaper of UK, foreign newspapers, quickly, Watchdog looks into £220,000 bill payment, Partygate, legal advice. The Guardian of UK. Now, critics ask if cost to taxpayer is right use of public money. Yes, the Partygate of Boris Johnson. Yes, in defending himself, he spent £220,000 of taxpayers in defense in the inquiry into that Partygate. Now, the National Audit Office is looking into the matter. The Watchdog is looking into the matter. And Johnson is putting further statement to say, well, I thought what we did was within the rules. Ruben, Rufai, and Ayo.
Shameless Boris Johnson, very shameless man. You did something very wrong in the first place. You were called out, and you took taxpayers' money to defend yourself. You see, I think the problem with the UK is a failure of leadership. The Tory party have been bastions of bad leadership, right from the time of Boris Johnson to Liz Truss that took a decision
that was counterproductive. And even Rishi Sunak, that we thought intellectual egghead, he's now showing that signs of leadership failure. 2 cases. Number 1, Nadeem Zahawi's case. Number 2, Dominic Raab's case. There are allegations for bullying now. And it was said that they told Rishi Sunak about him prior to this time. Before his appointment.
As Deputy Prime Minister.
Please, I think the UK people are even tired. I'm sure the UK people, if you can interview, they will say, Otto get for the Tory party.
You know what Rod Stewart, the musician, said recently? He said, out with
out,
Tory.
Otto get the Tory
Labour
party.
should take over.
Labour should take over. Because this is bad leadership and it also feeds into us here. It is the same bad leadership that is feeding off on petroleum scarcity. See, there are empirical proof to show that in the last 1 year, Nigerians have faced petroleum scarcity for over 8 months of the year. 8 months in the last 1 year. From 2022, we had bad fuel in February. Parts of Abuja were inundated with fuel scarcity because of the flood. That took another 1 month. This from October to this time is another. So 8 months of bad leadership. Now the NNPC are putting blames across to each other. I think this is sad. And when we keep saying people have failed, yes, Dr. But you say we should be sectorial, it's economic failure, and all of that. Other parts, they are great sports. Yes, we know they are great sports. But the truth is, this is a reflection of failure. When somebody fails, nobody has any qualms. You know, nobody has hard feelings. I wish President Muhammadu Buhari well. But we must also have the courage to say he has failed in so many aspects. And these failures are affecting us. Should we clap for him because of this hardship?
Okay, let me start with the UK.
Yeah.
The more urgent thing is the fear of a likely Tory civil war. Now that Liz Truss is going back to Westminster, coming back from the burial that she gave herself, and she's going to go there, it's suspected, to push for growth. Now, Boris Johnson is back there, also criticizing Rishi Sunak, saying that he's not being courageous enough on the issue of Ukraine. And then, of course, this point about the money that was taken from the official purse for the legal advice over the Partygate, it has not been, the outcome has not been put on the table yet. He's a spending watchdog that says they are examining. So he has not yet been crucified in that regard. So I don't think it's fair to just crucify him before the reports come out. However, with regard to the party chairman, yes, he had to go. Rishi Sunak had to sacrifice him. Yeah. With regard to Dominic Raab, Justice Secretary and Deputy Prime Minister, okay, he's saying, look, he's innocent, but what will happen to him? But the critical difference is that we have seen in the United Kingdom a country that has a code of conduct for public officials and that insists on that code of conduct, because Parliament will ask questions, the people will ask questions, and there is a certain standard below which we are not allowed to go. The other day I was asking the question that Zahawi has been sacrificed because of a breach of the ministerial code. Do we have any ministerial code in Nigeria? Second thing, about CEFA, that you say is being spent in some border communities, bordering Niger, Zamfara states, communities bordering Niger. No, I think for the umpteenth time, we ought to remind people that, look, spending foreign currency as legal tender in Nigeria for transactions is an offense. Then nobody enforces it. Now, here, there are even government departments that transact business in dollar.
In dollar, yes.
There are landlords that collect rent in dollar.
In dollars, yes.
There are businesses that you can't buy things from except you bring dollar. Now, to that one, they've added CEFA to it. CEFA is spent in eight countries, that are part of the Economic and Monetary Union in West Africa, and these are francophone countries. So now people have abandoned the naira. They are now asking for CEFA in some parts of Nigeria.
But in this case, they were pushed to it. They don't have new naira.
No, even
nobody wants to collect their old naira.
No,
they have to carry out transactions. I'm not justifying it, but they've been pushed to it.
No, but you don't know when it started. Yes. They may have been spending CEFA in parts of Nigeria long before now. The legal tender of Nigeria, the national currency, is the naira.
Yes.
Whatever the situation, you can't try it in Ghana, where the law is enforced.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you, Emmanuel Efeni. We'll take a short break now. And when we return, we'll be talking to Biodun Ajiboye, Assistant Director, Media and Publicity, Tinubu Shettima Campaign Council. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who were governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Criticism has continued to trail the comments of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the ruling All Progressives Congress presidential candidate in the forthcoming general election in Nigeria. Last week, the former Lagos State governor, while campaigning at a rally in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, said that the powers that be wanted to scuttle his chances in the election slated for the 25th of February. Also speaking at another rally held at the UGS Swine Stadium in Calabar, Cross River State capital on Tuesday, Tinubu said that Buhari's government made the Naira-dollar exchange rate at 200 Naira to the dollar, but it has depreciated to about 800 Naira to the dollar at the parallel market. However, the APC Presidential Campaign Council has stated that Bola Tinubu did not attack President Muhammadu Buhari when he spoke about the country's exchange rate. Also, in a statement issued yesterday, Bayo Ononuga, the campaign's media director, said the People's Democratic Party, PDP, created the current exchange rate crisis experienced by the country. Joining us now on this show to discuss the campaign activities of the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC, ahead of the 2023 general election in Nigeria, is Biodun Ajiboye, Assistant Director, Media and Publicity, Tinubu Shettima Campaign Council. Thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
Well, two quick things. Your party seems to be throwing stones, within the same house. You have the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who declared yesterday that indeed, or was it on Tuesday, that indeed there are 5th columnists in your party who do not want the party to win. And he also commented on certain policies of the government as something being backed by persons who lost out at the party primary, to scuttle the party's presidential ambition. Now, what's your take on this? Because we've seen other people saying that what Governor Nasir El-Rufai said is self-explanatory. He has also received the tacit support of the First Lady of Nigeria, who tweeted the video. And we've discussed this earlier this morning to say that it looks like your party is imploding from within and suffering from a crisis of internal democracy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ruben. First of all, I hope we'll be able to discuss freely because of this transmission. I hear you. It gets delayed, but I can manage. Now let's address these issues carefully. There is no party or no human organization without its own, attendant issues. No human organization. So that anything is observed as being fairly, uncomfortable with APC is not to mean that the party is imploding. Now, you know very well that the opposition party will naturally latch on to any little issues and they will blow it out of proportion. I don't know if you are hearing me because
Clearly, we can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
Okay. So, to that extent, I will not, agree with some of these exaggerations that people tout, and people go around to say. But I will simply, try to situate the matter the best, way I know. I was very, very involved. I was actively involved in the scenarios that, before the primaries. So I know exactly what happened. I was actually on this same station 24 hours before primary when everything became so hot with respect to which candidate to be adopted, which one not to be adopted, and the statement of the chairman has been, instigated from the villa and all of that kind of thing. Well, there are always a lot of hurdles to cross in this kind of situation. And if what Governor El-Rufai yesterday said will be an issue to address, it is just part of the hurdles we need to cross. However, I do know emphatically, and I keep to say, that somebody in the position of Godwin Emefiele cannot be trusted with the responsibility of Naira redesign, particularly at a time like this. I wonder if he had won the primaries, if he would have been happy if an exercise, a policy like that is being, executed at a point like this, election period. And whatever it is, I do not particularly want to start to blame the president. I don't see any good reason to blame Mr. President for what is going on. I think I blame the governor of Central Bank, who should have been able to put his acts together seamlessly in a way that would not have these traces of failure that is now generating so much heat in the polity. For me, that is where the problem actually lies. Secondly, I do not ever see any reason why Godwin Emefiele will do things right at this point in time. I can't see. Godwin Emefiele is a PDP appointee to start with. And to that extent, he still has his cohorts within the system, within the PDP. For me, I think that is where the problem actually is. And again, if I were Mr. President, and quite frankly, for him to have contested or attempted to contest for the position of presidency at the primaries would have been enough to tell him to go, because there is no way he would have been happy that anybody else won. You know, and I said it a few days ago on this same station, and a couple of our compatriots have said the same thing. That is where I think the problem is. Godwin Emefiele is actually, to my understanding, the problem. Because governor of Central Bank, you know, you need to put your acts together. You need to have known, he needed to have known that not everybody has a bank in Nigeria. Not every local government even has a bank. For you to now hang the activities of the Naira redesign and the execution of Naira redesign on availability of bank in neighborhoods and local government, it's naturally going to end a colossal failure. So if he had known that, he would have been able to adjust his activities and the program of the redesign of the Naira to suit the circumstance of the people. I just got to know yesterday, for instance, there are 2 local governments in Kaduna State without a bank at all. And there are quite a lot of local governments in other states like Borno without banks at all. So how do you then hang an exercise so sensitive to the people, holding money, you know, to availability of bank, when you know that there are even some people culturally they don't even patronize the banks? Wouldn't you have found a way to situate your policy and the execution of the policy to suit the people and their character and their you know availability of the kind of instruments you think you need to use to execute the program? That's where I have a problem, in actual fact. Well,
okay.
I think I leave it there.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ajiboye. I have a few questions to ask you.
I wish I could be seeing them.
Okay, I have a few questions to ask you. I'm sure you can hear us, and I'm sure Nigerians can see you and hear you.
I can hear, but I'd like to see you.
Nigerians
there is a monitor in the studio there. If you want to see us, they will put it on for you.
Okay.
Okay,
all right.
Yes.
So for a better quality, for your sake, we've enabled just audio so you can hear us faster. However, let me just ask you a few questions with regards to what you said about the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The first thing I want to ask you is this. Who reappointed the governor of the CBN in 2019? Are you also aware that the governor has mentioned that I'll finish and then you can respond. That the governor of the CBN also mentioned that the president is in support of these policies. In fact, on 2 occasions, he's gone to see the president, President Muhammadu Buhari, in his home in Daura, Katsina State. And so the president is very much aware of what's going on. Besides, Governor El-Rufai said in his interview that this is not the first time the president is doing this. When he was military head of state, he also had pushed for a redesign of the Naira to mop up illicit funds. So this is in character with the person of the president. And then beyond that, if you're saying that you're absolving the president of being, against your presidential candidate, your presidential candidate himself said in Abeokuta and also in Uyo that, first in Abeokuta, he said that the people who are redesigning the Naira, the fuel scarcity, they're sabotaging. And then he later on said that they brought the dollar from $200 when he came into office. Now it's $800 to a Naira. So he's actually speaking to the president. So it's a bit difficult when you say that it's not the president you're referring to. The president is not against. It's just some elements within his, within Aso Rock. I'd like you to please respond.
Yes, very brilliant of you, madam. I must tell you very clearly that in an administrative system, in an administrative setup, where you have the chief executive who support, or a board, let's even say a board, they come up with policy ideas and say, this is necessary for us to do. And it's cascaded to the managing director who is supposed to execute the policy. And it's further cascaded to perhaps the executive director whose professional purview this particular policy falls. Therefore, that President Buhari supports the policy of Naira redesign or interested in the policy of Naira redesign is not supposed to mean, or is not the same as the governor of Central Bank whose professional know-how is to map the strategies to achieve this policy objective. policy drifts actually comes up in the area of execution of policy. So I agree with you, like I agreed with somebody on this program a couple of days back, that yes, President Buhari supported or supports the policy of redesign of the Naira, and it stops there. If the execution of that policy is badly managed, then you now talk to the professional in charge. And this is where the crux of the argument actually is at this point in time. Our presidential candidates, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, did not and will not in good conscience refer to President Buhari. Because, of course, he understands that somebody somewhere must be able to hold on to this policy, manage this policy, own this policy, and take credit for its fine execution. To that extent, he knew exactly what he was referring to. Secondly, we have been hearing so many times that there is a group of people within the system, not necessarily Mr. President, but within the system, that actually have, or that actually, harbors a different agenda at different times. Like I said, we experienced same during the primaries, and information is rife with respect to some people within the villa trying to support some candidates to become, at the primaries, support some people to, and up till tomorrow, some of them are still smarting from the failure. What we just did, I remember I was on this same program, I was not on this program, but in this same studio, saying that we need a free and fair primaries to take place. And if we had a free and fair primaries, we really do not have anything to fear. And truly, we had a successful free and fair primaries, and it was just good. So some people who felt they could go through the back door to take the ticket of the party may still be feeling uncomfortable. And we all know, just like you say, the wife of the president supported the claim by Governor El-Rufai. She has been talking for a while, at different occasions, because of course, perhaps she sees the manipulation going around within the system. And we cannot, at this critical point, look elsewhere, but to kind of address the issues the way they should be addressed for us to have a solution. That's my take on that. I do not, and I know, and I believe, and I understand perfectly well that our presidential candidate was not for any reason referring to President Buhari. Of course, President Buhari, by his disposition, by his behavior, by his speech, by his statements, wants a free and fair election. Even his own elections, he told everybody, he told the whole world that what he would actually wish is a free and fair election, that's just his mindset. That's just who he is. He's a very straightforward person. But around him, we can't vouch for everybody else around him who probably are trying to manipulate the system. And it will be unfair. It will be unfair to us as a people, as a party. It will be unfair to Nigerians in general that we have this kind of situation going on around our government. But then it is an internal thing within the party. We will seek ways of resolving the problem. And I assure you, within a couple of days, it will be resolved.
Okay, Mr. Ajiboye, good to see you.
I really wish to be seeing you.
No, it's Rufai talking to you, Mr. Ajiboye.
Please, who is that?
This is Rufai, your very good friend. Happy New Year to you.
Rufai,
how are you?
Rufai. Okay.
Mr. Ajiboye. Okay, good to see you. So you've said a lot, and it's only good to exonerate your candidates. But he said something the last time. He said that some people don't think, and they have moved the currency from 200 naira to the dollar to 800 naira to the dollar. But your party came out, through Mr. Bayo Onanuga, to say that he wasn't referring to President Muhammadu Buhari, that he was referring to the PDP. So let's deal with some numbers. Let's play with numbers this morning, and let's be empirical. Can you empirically state for me?
I really wish to be seeing you. Please, I need to be seeing you. I want to see you.
Don't worry, you'll hear.
It's not proper for me to be talking to somebody I'm not seeing.
No, you'll hear my voice. Don't worry, my voice is good enough for you. So I want you.
Tell them at the studio to put the monitor so I can be seeing you.
Mr. Ajiboye, just hang on a minute. I want you to empirically analyze for me how the argument made by Mr. Bayo Ononuga holds water. And I'll give you some facts. I'll play around with facts. Between 2007 and 2011, the naira to the dollar exchange rate was 123, about 228 naira to the dollar. By 2011, it was 165. That's about 40 naira difference or less than that. Between 2011 to 2015, from 165, the exchange rate rose to 200 naira. In fact, if you remember the campaign slogan then of your party, the APC, they said 200 naira to the dollar, is that okay? We'll change it. But from 2015, and when you look at from 128 to about 200, that's cumulatively around 60 naira increase in the space of 8 years. 60 naira increase, or less than that. From 2015 to 2023, from 200 to 740 or 800, like your candidate, presidential candidate said, that's been a close to 600 naira or more increase in the rate of the naira to the dollar. So please, empirically and factually explain to me, how is it the fault of the PDP as regards the Forex when the increase in the naira to the dollar from 2017 to 2015 of the APC, for the PDP, was just 60 naira, but the APC increased it to 600 naira difference? Happy New Year to you, sir.
Yeah? Can I respond now?
Yes, sir.
Now, very good for academic exercise, the statistics you rolled out. But first of all, I will address this in so many, dimensions. One, in the last about 40 years back that Buhari was president of military head of state, he actually, embarked on Naira redesign, for instance. And perhaps the governor of Central Bank at the time was a lot more professionally articulate. The exchange rate in question is managed by an institution, not the villa, actually. It's managed by an institution. And the institution managing it should take the blame for its unprecedented increase or credit for the ability to curtail the exchange rate. That the exchange rate is ballooning beyond reasonable doubt is not entirely the fault of the president or the presidency. At the same time, if I were the president, for instance, and I see and feel and know that the exchange rate is going beyond reasonable proportion, I probably would ask the CBN governor, is it that you don't know what to do, or what exactly is the problem? If he doesn't give me good reason as chief executive, I fire him and take propositions from other people who can manage properly the exchange rate. Now, I personally do not see any reason why Emefiele should have continued in office. One, Emefiele was a PDP appointee. PDP appointee. For whatever reason, Jonathan would not have appointed him if he didn't suit his purpose. So therefore, I can infer rightly that Emefiele was and is PDP. Well, his attempt to join APC and his branded vehicles mean that he probably at a time wanted to cross to APC. But the fact remains like that. So now, number two, the exchange rate is oscillating, is going up, down, up, down. I think it's a normal process in economic management. I am not saying that our particular circumstance that has gone hit the roof is right. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying to you that the exchange rate management, if we need to blame anybody at all, we share the blame between the chief executive of CBN and probably the presidency. But again, the president is only supposed to say, okay, you are the professional here, do your best. If the professional is not doing his best, this is where I actually fault Mr. President.
Mr. Ajiboye,
with due respect, sir, Mr. President.
Mr. Ajiboye, with due respect, you've not answered my question. No, you've not answered my question. Let me repeat it. And I took the time and
Maybe you are not listening very well.
And I gave you data. Hang on a minute.
I understood, Rufai, I understood
Mr.
your question.
Ajiboye, let me ask again. This was what I asked you.
Please do.
Your campaign said that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was not referring to the president, that he was referring to the PDP when he said about exchange rates. And I gave you data, painstaking data. And I said, please, empirically prove to me how the PDP caused an exchange rate problem when in the last 8 years of the PDP, naira to the dollar was just a 60 naira difference. But in the last 8 years of the APC, it ballooned into a 600 naira difference. That's the question I'm asking. That's it. Just explain how the PDP caused the problem. Because we saw during the PDP's time, in 2007, it was 128. In 2015, when you took power, it was 200. That was like a 60 naira difference. But in 2015,
I've just told you,
Mr. Ajiboye, let me finish.
Sabotage.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish.
Please go ahead.
From 2015 to 2023 now, it has increased to 600 naira. The PDP only increased theirs dollar to the naira variation with 60 naira. Your party increased it to 600 naira. So explain to me how PDP is the problem. Let's play with data. Give me data if you have to.
It is not important to explain to you directly how PDP is the problem or how PDP is not the problem. I have told you exactly what I see the problem, where I see the problem lying. I have told you directly here that Emefiele is an appointee of the PDP, first of all. You can interpolate, you can infer from that how PDP became important in this issue. Secondly, the foreign exchange management has quite a lot of variables. You know, if Emefiele is managing, if Emefiele is capable of managing the exchange rate regime properly, there would not have been this kind of, problem. Yes.
Please, we need to make progress. We can't be repeating this sentence.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now here, some of the things you said.
Thank you very much, Dr. Abati.
Just wait. You spend more time attacking Emefiele. I'm sure he has his spokespersons, but there are certain clarifications. Yes, he was appointed in 2014 by the government of President Goodluck Jonathan. It was my pleasure at the time to announce the appointment, having been so directed by the president. But you will recall that in 2019, an APC president reappointed him for another term of 5 years, which his letter of appointment said will be the final term. So you can't say he's a PDP appointee. President Buhari reappointed him, and the Senate confirmed that appointment under Section 81, subsection 2 of the Constitution as required. That's number one. Number two, when El-Rufai spoke, Nasir El-Rufai was very clear. He said the fifth columnists are in the villa, and that they are supporting some people who took part in the primaries. Emefiele does not work in the villa. He's a public servant who works at the CBN. And he did not take part in the primaries. He did not take part in the primaries. That's where exactly I'm going. He didn't take part.
He attempted to, even went to court.
No, but he did not take part. Yes, he went to court. He went to the Federal High Court, Abuja.
I agree with you.
To seek clarification as to whether INEC or the Office of the Attorney General could buy him. The Federal High Court did not grant his prayers. And that was the end of that.
So you showed interest?
Just wait. Then 3, he made it clear at the time that if he wanted to participate, if he got the leave of court, he would buy forms. That's your expensive 100 million form, with his own money, not forms that will be bought for him by other people. And 4, even the president is backing the CBN governor in terms of what he has done with Naira redesign. And the CBN has the independence and has the powers under specific sections of the CBN Act, 2B, 17, 18, 19, accordingly. So the CBN governor has not acted outside the purview of the law. My question and my expectation was that you will help us to identify those 5th columnists inside Aso Villa as raised by Nasir Rufai. If you would still like to address that question. And finally, yesterday, the APC-PCC launched what they call the Thinking Caps app. And we're told that this Thinking Cap app application is targeted at youth. Is there any plan to extend the bridging of knowledge gap also to senior persons within the APC? Because Thinking Cap, putting on Thinking Cap looks like a good idea, but it shouldn't just be the youths, it should be party-wide. Tell us more about the Thinking Cap too.
Dr. Ruben, Dr. Ruben, I did say, and I said very clearly, that during the primaries, we had some kind of voice from the villa that might have been different from what the president would have wished for. So I am very much aware that there are some voices within the system that are probably not working favorably for some, situations. But to tell you who the voices are will be a bit difficult. Just as Governor Nasir El-Rufai could not name names, I will not be in a position to tell you who they are. But obviously, from what we can hear, see, and perceive, the wife of the president had come out at some time to say that, look, there are people within around the president working against some situations, even as it affects the party. So that's a fact that has been established. I do not have any information with respect to who these individuals are. But whatever it is, I do know that these kind of actions are not going to be beneficial for the kind of legacy the president is willing to leave. So therefore, we will continue, like I said, if it is within and around the president, we will do all we can to ensure that we resolve the matter internally as best as we can. That's just the best I can say with respect to that. This is because at the end of the day, the fact that we have been able to locate where the problem is would mean that we begin and continue to seek how to solve the problem. Yes, I agree totally. There are 5th columnists within the system. If not, some things will not happen the way they are happening. That's a fact. Now, talking about the application launched by my directorate, yesterday, the application is targeted at the most active segment of the population, but does not exonerate the older people, within the system or even outside the system. So that the application is targeted at the youth is to tell you that we are interested in the young population of this country, because they are the future of Nigeria. And our party and our campaign is absolutely interested in seeing a future that can be built around the young people, so that we can have them taken care of in a way that will develop our future as a people, our future as a nation. So that is the thinking behind that application and the launching of it.
Well, thank you very much, Otumba Abiodun Ajiboye, Assistant Director, Media and Publicity of the Tinubu Shettima Presidential Campaign Council. We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Tonye Cole, governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Rivers State. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
I'm about to serve better breakfast.
If you're in Lagos, you need to see this.
I'm not just streaming content, I'm just escaping traffic.
Get more data to enjoy exclusive content. Dial *141# now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Hi, I'm Pat Rankin, and they don't call me World Best for no reason. I only deal with the best. Be it auto or business, 100% claim is always guaranteed.
Welcome to World Class Insurance Services. We are Anchor Insurance,
where insurance truly works.
Nigeria has a problem.
A really big problem. The problem has made our country sick.
And we cannot remain sick for 4 more years.
Nigeria is sick with insecurity,
poverty,
rising cost of living,
and an escalating Japa crisis.
The good thing is,
Nigeria has a pathway to recovery.
And when we recover, our country will be safe.
When we recover, our economy will grow.
When we recover,
our nation will be stronger. We have to recover from this sickness.
So we can recover from lost ground.
Recover our time, recover our future,
and our dignity
on the African continent. In 2023,
it is Nigeria time to recover.
And together, we can get it done.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The Rivers State government has withdrawn the approval it earlier granted to the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to use the Adokie Amir Simaka Stadium for its presidential rally. This is stated in a circular released by the Rivers State Sports Commissioner, Barrister Chris Green, who explained that the decision was taken because of their discovery that the PDP is in alliance with some members of the All Progressives Congress in the state. The latest development is coming at a time when the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Rivers State, Tonye Cole, is calling for a declaration of a state of emergency in the state, following a series of attacks on the campaign team of the APC. Joining us now from Port Harcourt to discuss the recent attack against the APC campaign team in Rivers State and the latest development of withdrawal of campaign rally venue is the APC governorship candidate in Rivers State, Tonye Cole. Good morning, Mr. Cole, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mayo. It's nice to see you again.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us. Well, two things that Ayo Mairo had already pointed out. Your request that the president should declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. If you'd like to talk, about that. And then secondly, in the notice of withdrawal of the approval for the PDP to use the stadium, the Rivers State government said the PDP planning a rally for, I think, February 11 is in collusion with you. And you are leader of a violent faction of the APC, and that the state cannot allow violent people to come and destroy, state assets. But here you are. You had also before then asked for a state of emergency. Well, the PDP in another statement, they've said it doesn't make sense that PDP will join APC to do a rally. But the state government is quoting credible intelligence. And your name was mentioned in about 2 or 3, 4 paragraphs.
Thank you, Ruben, for this and this opportunity to come and let Nigerians know the truth. You can hide behind a lie for only so long, and after a while, the truth begins to come out. Most of the violence that has been perpetrated in Rivers State has been by the ruling party. And it's only now that it's coming out. It is laughable that a party that has been at the forefront of anti-party activities will now accuse us of exactly the same thing. It has been on record that our state here, Rivers State, has actively invited and brought all members of other parties to come at commissioning, giving money to other parties, trying to destabilize APC in Rivers State. All of that has failed. So it's very laughable to read what was sent out yesterday, making it an excuse to deny a PDP faction that they are already fighting hard against. So this is an internal party thing, not what has nothing to do with APC. The party, PDP, is factionalized, is divided in Rivers State. And so this is just about them and not about me at all.
All right, so in your call to the president in terms of declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State due to the state of thuggery and violence, you had hinted on the complicity of the Commissioner of Police in the state with the state governor, Nyesom Wike. I'd like you to expand on this, because that's quite a grave accusation that the Commissioner of Police in Rivers State is not being neutral.
At the end of the day, one of the things that we must do is call to attention everybody to what is already smoke and leading towards a raging inferno. What we're saying here, and that call for the state of emergency, is driven by the fact that we know these things. We've seen it happen. When these attacks began, and the information coming out is that it is going to escalate up until election day. At the last election in 2019, by the time we got to election day, there were parts of the state that were totally taken over by armed thugs, especially in my hometown, Abonima, where by the time I got into Abonima for the presidential election in 2019, they had taken over the entire town. There was sporadic shooting for hours to make sure that nobody would come in. I was driving into the town and they were telling me no APC can stay here. Shootings and all of that. We want to make sure that we avoid the kind of mass deaths that occurred as a result of all of this. When that whole episode finished, I remember they began to accuse us, saying that it was APC that carried out those attacks. These things have to stop. We are not interested in any more deaths in Rivers State. And so when we say that we are calling for a state of emergency, it is so that we can prevent further deaths from occurring in Rivers State. Investment has fled this state as a result of this moniker that Rivers State has been seen as a very violent place, a place where investors cannot invest safely, where law and order does not exist, and where the government is an emperor-led government. We have to stop all of that.
I'd like to ask you, a lot has been happening, but what specifically happened in Opobo?
You know, Opobo was again one of those escalations that happened. As we got to Opobo, first, as we were going to Opobo, we got information that they had destroyed the venue. We saw the videos, they totally destroyed the stage, destroyed all the sound equipment that had been put up overnight, such that we could not get, we had no venue. We put all of that back together, but critically, there was an abduction of our local government chairman, my campaign coordinator in Opobo. He was abducted. As we were heading to Opobo, we saw them going past, and so we gave information that we have just seen 2 Sienna cars that looked very suspicious going past. Thankfully, we had another convoy that was coming behind my convoy. We turned around and started giving chase. We managed to block them at Bori, and we were able to release our local government chairman from the abductors. By the time we got back into Opobo, so this delayed us for about 2 hours. By the time we got back into Opobo and we began to walk into the town, we came down and we began to walk into the town. And we were doing our normal door-to-door and just singing normally. And we came towards the end of the road. They had put blocks so that the cars could not go past. And the next thing, stones, bottles, bullets from all over. Now some had to take cover, and we saw that there was no way. The exchange of gunfire became intense. And for a while, we couldn't move. We were trapped. Opobo is a one-road town. So from behind us, we were locked in. In front, we were locked in. And there was shooting from all over. You have side roads and alleys and all of that. So we just had to stay on the main road. For 2 hours, this occurred. The police sent reinforcement, and when that reinforcement came, there was an increased exchange of gunfire, which then suppressed, and then tear gas, which suppressed everything. We cannot, in 2023, begin to see this kind of thing. They refused to allow us to get to the venue. We tried on 3 occasions to advance to break through the barricade, and 3 times, bottles, bullets, and stones. They destroyed our cars, destroyed an ambulance completely with axes and all of that. You know, we cannot continue this way. So we saw all of this. At the end, we had to fight our way out of Opobo, make sure that everybody had left. I stayed behind because I knew that as soon as I leave, then all the security men that came with me would leave. So myself and Dakuku Peterside stayed until we ensured that everybody that came with us had left, after which we left. And I went straight to the CP of police to report the matter, that this cannot continue.
Well, Mr. Cole, let's talk about programs that you have. Governor Wike says the fate of APC is sealed in Rivers State, particularly after he was given that infrastructure award by the federal government, by President Buhari. And he said, look, he's done so much for the people of Rivers State. He's Mr. Projects. He has been commissioning projects now for months, and his supporters say he's Mr. Project. You know, so he says, APC should not even bother because the election has even been won and lost. Okay, if you were to succeed and you win, what will you do differently? And do you agree with him that the fate of APC is sealed?
Okay, so let's start with the fate of APC being sealed. Part of the reason why the campaigns are being frustrated, why we had an executive order 20 and 21 put in place, why we are being denied access to rally grounds and all of that, is because they know that those things will show our strength. And they are absolutely afraid of APC's popularity in the grassroots. We know, I've been doing grassroots politics ever since I entered into politics. And each time we go door to door, we go word to word, we see that the people are frustrated. And why are they frustrated? There are two reasons here. The first is that at the grassroots, none of these policies that the government has implemented has impacted the human development index of the individual at the grassroots. They don't feel the government. That's number one. The second aspect of the frustration that the people have at the bottom of the pyramid is that the minute you leave Obiakpo and you leave Port Harcourt, the two local governments that conceit the greater Port Harcourt that we have, the minute you leave that, you find many areas of Rivers State that are ungoverned spaces. There is no presence of government, there are no police force, no magistrate court, nothing, no presence, no hospital, schools are dilapidated, no projects, no bridges. So you find Obiakpo and Falga where most of the projects have been concentrated and many others that have no presence at all. So what am I going to do different? The first thing is that we are going to be a government that incorporates everybody, carries everybody along. We must be a government that remembers that there are 23 local governments and not just 2 local governments. We have to be a government that remembers that human beings matter. Their lives matter, their education matter, their health matters. It's very important. We have one of the highest levels of youth unemployment in the state, and nobody's paying attention to that. That youth employment means that we have one of the highest numbers of courtesan in Nigeria. It is violent. We need to address that. These youths need to be engaged, properly respected. Lastly, we have a traditional institution that is terrified. We are going to communities and the first-class chiefs are hiding. They cannot come out to meet because they are terrified of a government that has threatened them and will remove their stools. How can we be so disrespectful to the very grassroots foundation of our culture and tradition? All of these things must change. We will be a government for all the people of Rivers State. That is what I bring. And that's the hope that people see that they are following us, which the government is now afraid of and is trying to stop. They can't stop it.
All right, so you've mentioned the things that, Dr. Bati had asked you as to what Wike had done in Rivers State. I'd like you to discuss your plans in detail. So what would you do differently? He's talked about the fact that he's done infrastructure. On what strengths are you campaigning for the people of Rivers State?
Okay, so we're campaigning on 3 pillars, and all of them are people-centered. The first aspect of it is social welfare. We must make sure that the money that has been stolen or kept at the top and hidden away and all must reach the people. Rivers is a very rich state, very wealthy state with extremely poor people. So we must make sure that that wealth trickles down to the very bottom of the pyramid. So social welfare, what some might call stomach infrastructure, what others may call conditional cash transfers, things that elevate the people and elevate their spending power. Very important. So we're going to drive that, first of all, on one pillar, social welfare pillar. The second one, which must bring new businesses back into Rivers State, is peace, security, law, and order. That entire structure that gives the legal framework to knowing that you can come and do business here freely. Nobody is going to cancel your CFO. Nobody is going to threaten you. We must welcome businesses here. So that infrastructure that is built on peace, security, law, and order, we're going to deal with that aspect of it. That's the second pillar, all people-centered. The last one is developmental infrastructure. This means that everything that will bring development in, whether it's in agriculture, education, health, work, employment, entrepreneurship, all of those things will be brought in. Those are the 3 pillars. Building on that developmental infrastructure is one key thing, which is that we must diversify the city-state. We're a one city-state, so we have to build 3 new cities, including Port Harcourt. You have 2 others outside of Port Harcourt. We must develop them, and they are theme cities. One around productivity, industry, the other one around technology. Those are the 3 things that will be built on the developmental infrastructure platform.
In all of this, with all of these attacks, I'd like to ask you this. Has your, other competitors in the race even reached out to you with all of these attacks on you? Has people like Sim Fubara even called you up to say, oh, Tonya, I heard about this. What happened? Sorry.
Sim has never called me, I don't know if he has my number, I don't have his number, I've never seen him. Every other person I know, we know each other. I know Dumo very well, I know Dawari George, I know Magnus Abe. These are people we talk to. Magnus and I have spoken about these attacks, Dumo has spoken about the attack, Dawari has spoken about the attack. Sim has never called. I have never seen him. If he comes out, he will walk past me, I don't know who he is. And that is the fallacy of this kind of thing. How can we, as leading politicians in this state, not even know each other or speak to each other? Every other person who is running in this race, we're in regular contact. We're speaking, we meet, we come out for debates. Sim has never come out for a debate. We've been invited to so many places where stakeholders just want to know, as political parties, what are you going to do? You will not believe that the police and INEC have called on 2 occasions that all political parties should come, 3 occasions. All political parties and their candidates should come so that we can discuss on peace in the state ahead of the elections. The candidate for the PDP has never shown up, not once. I've never seen him. Magnus was there, I was there, Dumo was there. Sim never came out. And I think it's time he comes out. And we have invited him so many times. Let us have a sit down. Let us talk about peace and security. Let us talk about the future of Rivers State. Let's sit down and debate what we want to bring to the people. I've never seen him. No, he has never called me.
Okay, quickly, because we seem to be running out of time. There's this story reflected, in fact, in the response of the PDP Presidential Campaign Council at paragraph 5, that they are aware that, I think 4 and 5, paragraphs 4 and 5, that they are aware that Governor Wike has instructed state government officials and all his supporters that is a candidate of the APC at the presidential level that they should support. I mean, you as the gubernatorial candidate of the APC, you know, if some of your followers have been told this is how you should vote during the presidential election in Rivers State. Are you aware of that? Do you have clear indications as to that? Is the PDP Rivers saying the truth by saying that such an instruction has been passed around?
You know, it's a very small community, and politics is a small family, and we know each other very, very, very well. So one of the things that we have heard is that they have given instructions to all the local government chairmen to do 2 things. First, to prevent APC from holding any kind of rally, disrupt all our rallies. So the local government chairmen are under threat that they will be disciplined severely if they allow us to come and hold any rally. So that we know, that we have heard. We've also heard that they have been given strict instructions that they must not support Atiku in any way. That one we know. Now, whether they have been given instructions that they must support Tinubu, that I haven't heard. But I know for a fact that they are not supporting Atiku. I know that they are not supporting us, APC Rivers State. They've said that we must be totally disrupted. But I have not heard yet from them that they are supporting Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my presidential candidate. So what Wike had said that he will make an announcement on the 31st of January about whom he is supporting. We waited for that announcement. That announcement did not come. However, he did say that all his party members know who he is supporting. So maybe the rumors might be true that he's told them, but I haven't heard, I cannot confirm.
Thank you very much indeed.
All right, we'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll have Michael Wilson and Ruth Sudiri give us updates on global Africa business activities. Stay with us.
Working for Arise remains one of the most enjoyable jobs I've had in my career. It was exhilarating. No day was ever the same. Some days were exhausting. Some days were beyond exciting. But I can guarantee you that no day was ever the same. We interviewed a plethora of people, everybody from Lupita Nyong'o to Alicia Keys to Neo to Tyson Beckford to Gladys Knight. The list goes on and on. It's one of the only shows where you could interview a literary titan and a rapper in one episode. It was never a dull moment at Arise. And one of the things I love most about that network is that Nduka really gave us all an opportunity to find our voices, to work as hard as we could, and to deliver the best product every day. He trusted us, he believed in us, he had faith in us, and we helped him build a global network. And here we are, 10 years later, Arise, still standing. Many networks have come and gone. Some people have tried, many have failed, but here Arise is. Congratulations, Arise. Happy, happy anniversary.
Emergencies happen when you least expect them to. It gets worse when you are cash-strapped. No need to despair. First Advance has you covered. You can get that urgent cash right now on First Advance. With First Advance, salary earners can get up to 50% of their salary. No hassles, as long as you earn a monthly salary and your salary account has been active for at least 2 months. It doesn't matter if you run a salary account with First Bank or any other bank. Just dial *894*11# or simply dial *894# on your mobile phone. What's more, when you open a First Bank salary account, you can enjoy 0 charges and free debit card issuance. Download the First mobile app on Play Store or App Store today. Log in to experience First Bank digital banking. Select Loans, select First Advance, and follow the prompts to receive your loan. Don't let that urgent need get the best of you. Get First Advance now. It's as simple as dialing *894*11#. First Advance. Fast, convenient, secure. You first. First Bank.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
This is a different kind of energy. That's gang energy. With malt, ginseng, and vitamins. So recharge and take charge. Zag Energy drink with malt. That's our kind of energy.
Nigeria now we country, APC not the party, now one man be a choice.
At last, the elections are here. Let's turn out en masse on election day and vote Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as President of Nigeria for a renewed hope and a better Nigeria. Vote APC, the party that shows a broom.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. For Global Business Update, Michael Wilson joins us now from London. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning. First of all, the Fed, as expected, raised interest rates just a little bit instead of the feared 0.5%. And that really had an effect through Asia. I'll come on to the details of that in a moment. The Nikkei's up, Hong Kong's up, and also the Shanghai Composite up very, 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 very slightly, but you can see there's a rough sense of relief that the Fed didn't raise 0.5%, but just 0.25%. I'll come on to that in just 1 second. I have to tell you that I'm not an equipment catalogue, but it's worth noting Samsung is just coming out with its new Galaxy S23 smartphone. This is, of course, better cameras, gaming facilities, and so on. I merely mention this because although Samsung is quite an event within itself, the actual export of smartphones from South Korea has fallen, as we were noting yesterday. So an economy really with the lowest export levels for a very, very long time. I'm going to take you to India and a company you're going to be hearing a lot of. This is called Adani. And basically, there's a lot of legal problems with this company, but they've called off a 2.5 billion share sale. Gautam Adani is one of India's richest people. He's a billionaire. They are accused by another group of stock manipulation and so on, and it's extremely likely that the Indian equivalent of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, will be investigating the company. So in other words, that's actually called off, and stock losses have exceeded $100 billion as a result of that. Now to Sri Lanka, and it's celebrating, if you can call it like that, well, it's noting its 75th anniversary of becoming independent. It's basically still bankrupt. The future looks very bleak. Apparently, there's a $2.9 billion bailout, which is looming from the World Bank. Now, that does look likely, but that's not going to do them any good. They've defaulted on $50 billion worth of loans and $50 billion worth of foreign debt. So there is a long way to go in this country. We know that the previous president went to Singapore. He resigned by email. The new chap has come in, but the problem still apparently is government corruption. Until that's actually put right, then Sri Lanka will remain dependent upon the support of countries like India and China, which it's sort of getting at the moment. But it really needs to reboot itself, and it'll be very, very difficult indeed. Let's go back to the United States, and Jay Powell was saying it is literally, he said it's premature to say the battle against inflation is over. As we all anticipated, interest rates up there 0.25%, but they are now watching jobs data very, very carefully indeed, and he remained hawkish. In other words, he's saying to the markets and saying to investors, look, yeah, we have slowed down, but we're still really based on inflation, and don't expect anything to happen markedly about interest rates probably until the middle of this year, 2023. Meta, which used to be called Facebook, that's beaten its expectations, but the actual investment into AI has lost the company $4.28 billion. Investors still like it, though. It's still considered to be going in the right direction. This is where Mr. Zuckerberg, Mark Zuckerberg, thinks that the future of the company actually lies, and he's willing to spend that. Share price is up 19% on those results, even though they recorded huge losses. To the UK, and the strikers, the Bank of England is set to raise interest rates here without question, and the 10th time in a row, and it's expected to be up by about 0.25%. The UK Bank, the Bank of England, the UK Bank of England is making it much is trying to stabilise the markets that were interrupted by that brief flurry in bond yields. So you remember that when after the failed mini budget here and so on, they're expecting to try to strengthen that, and also the UK, as you know, in the middle of enormous strikes at the moment. You're talking about teachers, you're talking about train drivers, you're talking about civil servants and so on, and those strikers have been sending a very, very strong message to the government saying, we are going to do this, and the government's digging in, and the Prime Minister is saying at the moment, well, he'd like to give more wages, but the country can't afford it at the moment, and so it goes on. There's no end in sight to that at the moment. Oil, OPEC stayed with its present plans at the moment. The OPEC is still monitoring what's going on in China and Russia, but prices declined really. The long and short of it is, and Shell, of course, recorded record profits. That's the breaking news. Record profits of $39.9 billion clearly on rising energy prices. Will that continue the course for windfall taxes? Yes, of course it will. And finally, as far as commodities are concerned, iron ore prices could be rising. India, which is one of the world's biggest exporters of iron ore, that's gone down 90%, and thus there's a feeling that the rest of the world needs to catch up, and therefore iron ore prices will rise. Australia is the biggest, followed by Brazil. And then China. India is up there with them, but as their exports have fallen so much, it's likely that iron ore prices will rise. That is the global view this morning.
Thank you, Michael. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for this segment, but thank you all the same. Now for business updates across the African continent, Rotus Odiri will be joining us shortly.
Show power for your side. It can knock you down. I'm a temp salt gel.
Are you are?
Me I can tell you no say. Malaria, my lesson when no get bad days. Oh, bad days from out and it easy to swallow. I got red game changer. I'm a temp salt gel.
Say no to malaria. Yes to life.
Kanyi tinyelu Atiku Abubakar maka ọganiru Nigeria. Tinyelu Atiku Abubakar maka nchekwa obodo. Maka ọganiru, maka ọdịnamma nke Nigeria. Tunyebe Stelu Nchaanwụ. Tinye votu gị na Nchaanwụ. Tinyela Atiku maka nchekwa obodo, maka ọganiru. Ezi nche, ezi onye ndu. Atiku kụwa ngaji o, ihe adịba mma.
Ebe ka anyị ga-ebinye aka.
Ebe sere Nchaanwụ.
There is only one place that the world will come to run on Saturday the 4th of February 2023. Over bridges, waterfronts, running across 10 kilometers and 42 kilometers of asphalt. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon will be targeting 100,000 runners from around the world, ready to flood the streets of Lagos. The 10-kilometer race will set off at 9:30 a.m. at the Grace Court Garden Events Place, Durosimi Eti, Lekki Phase 1, while the 42-kilometer race will set off at 6:30 a.m. in front of the iconic National Stadium, Surulere, and both races will finish on top of the sandy shores of the stunning Echo Atlantic City. From Oshodi to Oworu, Alakbere to Admiralty, Ikoyi to Echo Atlantic, the race is routed through the warm, meandering feet blistering streets of this historic city. So what are you waiting for? Get ready to push beyond the limit. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon 2023. Make it count.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Arise News channel. Now for business updates across the African continent, Rochus Udiri joins us. Good morning, Rochus.
Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Ayo. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, viewers. I know we're pressed for time, so let's run through this as quickly as possible. The Ministry of Finance Incorporated, the President has tasked the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, which actually precedes Nigeria's independence. I think this act was set up in 1954 or 57 or so, where the MOFI is supposed to act as some kind of custodian of assets, asset manager for the government-owned assets that are held by the federal government of Nigeria. And I must understand they valued the assets at 18 trillion. The president says that should be bumped up to 100 trillion over the next 10 years. They've done a board reshuffling. I think we're supposed to hear from the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, in about 6 minutes or so from Abuja, where she's going to be giving some kind of breakdown on economic growth. They have boards. They've got a governing council. I think the president is chair of that council. How they do that, very interesting. Our very own Adeso Almoro, our state correspondent, she asked them, how do you plan on getting your assets from, is it 18 trillion to 100? And they said, well, we need to get the proper asset registry. I think that's one of the things he has tasked them to do. That asset registry, it's interesting how it has not been done. And the timing of all this coming at the tail end of his administration is yet another point to think about. MTN Nigeria becomes the first publicly traded company on the Nigerian exchange to earn 2 trillion naira in revenue. They first crossed the 1 trillion naira mark, I think, in 2019. That was then a record. Only about 3 years. COVID year. No, it was 2019. Yes. COVID year, they did, I think it was 1.6 or so. They hit another milestone. Voice is up to 1 trillion, data up to about 740 something billion. I think so. They're just, I mean, it's incredible stuff. Banking. I don't know if you've seen this video of this gentleman. No, Starlink. Let me get to Starlink first, actually, before we get to the bank. Starlink, they're comparing the speeds. Looks like Starlink is setting a bar for speed as far as megabytes per second, your upload and download times. Tayo Oviosu, who is the CEO of Paga, put up a comparison tweet. Now, he didn't say which fiber company it was, but on your left, you've got about 14 megabytes per second, unnamed company, but on your right, you've got Starlink at 230 megabytes per second. Also, latency, which talks about the amount of when you're loaded and unloaded latency, depending on your traffic. Pretty impressive as well, although we don't know which company is on the left. Your average megabytes per second, well, it should be about 100 according to the United States. Nigeria lags, I think your download time is about 11 megabytes per second. Upload is download is 8, upload is 11. Nigeria ranks about 145th in the world. So Starlink is bringing some competition as far as internet download time, but they are only accepting dollar cards to pay for subscription, which speaks to the issues of FX here in Nigeria. Then the banks. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this video of this gentleman who was stripping down his clothes in a banking center because he couldn't get access to notes, new Naira notes. So yeah, I mean, you've been seeing people fighting outside and so on and so forth. So apparently, I have it on good authority, just to break this here, that for Naira notes, the banks have now been instructed to dispense the notes for the tellers. I understand before this, it was the ATMs, that was what was causing a whole lot of lines and so on. But now they have been instructed to dispense these new notes through the tellers, which should hopefully reduce the amount of the queues and the lines and so on that we are seeing. But where's that tweet from this influencer? No lights, no fuel, no cash, bank apps failing. We've never had it this bad. You've got just an absolute plethora of issues. But despite all this, the Nigerian Stock Exchange yesterday was up by 49 basis points.
I mean, that's to show
it's
you
very disconnected.
That's to show you that there's some still prospects, despite how bad things are in this country.
Well, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
I'll get into economy MT is making 2 trillion now. What are you saying?
I know,
what
but
are you saying?
The stocks. Anyway.
Don't badmouth Nigeria.
Fine, okay. Ghana, the IMF, with all the issues that Ghana is facing, the IMF still talking up Ghana's mining sector. Ghana's mining sector contributed 14% to their GDP and about 2% to employment. This is the second time in 3 weeks they're talking about mining, from South Africa to Ghana. Despite all their issues, I think they're projected to grow almost 3.something% this year with all the issues Ghana faces. Finally, Egypt, speaking of stocks, the Prime Minister, Mr. Modalbi, in Egypt, saying that they are looking to add 20 new companies to the Egyptian. When last did you get 20? You're talking about Mountain. When last did you get one company listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange? When last?
No.
When last you get two?
It's not that companies can't list, but you know what? A lot of them, especially the tech company, the Delaware effect, when they register in Delaware, they are making the money here. You know. So let's not reveal the secrets. I mean, so I will just keep quiet there. But you see, despite everything that is bad, and Rotus, I'm not exonerating the fact that things are bad around.
Yeah.
I still believe, like I always say on the show, Nigeria is not a hopeless case.
Right.
And look at the MTN story. This is a company that came in the early 2000s in this country.
Yep.
And see how they've been able to grow over the years. And at the same time, it's not only MTN. Other telco companies are doing very good in terms of rev too in this country. In fact, I have always scratched my head that the third telco company that is a private company, only God knows how much cash they have. I don't want to mention it. You know the name.
Why haven't they listed?
They're not listed. It's still a private company.
That's what I'm saying. As good as things are, why haven't they listed on the exchange?
No, why they have not listed might be due to their own personal reasons.
Right, okay.
But it's not that the rev book of that
it's
company.
Not good.
Because knock on wood, if you look at the data revenue for that company compared to MTN, it will fight MTN's data revenue.
So let them list on the exchange.
So, but no, anybody knows why they're keeping it. But it just shows that things,
Yeah.
I think concerning the policy, I'm happy about the new one that, the CBN has done that said, okay, you can go and withdraw money. But they should work more on the logistics of the process so it's going to be available for everybody. But Africa is blessed, and I hope there's a day that we can also be making money for mining.
Oh, yes.
Well, it's good that cashiers now have been are likely, until we see it, we believe it, to be told to now dispense, the new notes through the counter. But what many people have discovered is that many of these banks have been saying that, in fact, even the notes that were not redesigned are not available.
Yeah.
So it's only in Nigeria that you will have a bank and you go there and the bank will say it has no money.
No money.
Even when it is just 3, denominations that have been redesigned. That has to be addressed. And, efforts should be made to ensure that these banks get enough of the notes.
Yeah.
As for SpaceX Starlink coming to Nigeria, yes, I think the competition is welcome.
Yeah.
SpaceX was advertising yesterday that Nigeria...
Starlink, you mean?
Starlink, rather. SpaceX is owned by SpaceX.
Well, that's true, yes.
Elon Musk, SpaceX.
Yeah.
So the appropriate name is SpaceX Starlink.
Yeah.
Now, they were advertising yesterday that Nigeria is the first country in Africa and the 47th in the world to have that facility, where Nigeria is the biggest market anyway in Africa. But the major problem is that the pricing. Ooh. For you to get the hardware, you are required to pay about, was it $278,000?
$600, which is about $278,000.
Yeah, about $278,000.
Yeah.
And then monthly subscription of $19,000, $20,000.
Yeah.
Well, the whole idea of the competition from the consumer's end is that prices will go down and that the broadband penetration of Nigeria will increase in line with the national, broadband plan 2020 to 2025. As for the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, we don't have a register of national assets.
Doctor, can you imagine?
It's a scandal. It's only now that Nigeria wants to create a consolidated register of assets.
After 8 years.
And they say assets worth 18 trillion. That's less than that 22 trillion of ways and means.
It's even more than that.
Let me quickly touch on 2 things. First is MTN's results. Very, like Rufai said, positive news, particularly in the face of so many things you can complain about the nation. However, one part of the report talks about the fact that they were the first telecoms organization to penetrate with 5G. However, this 5G story we've been hearing, but we haven't been able to feel, see, or use. And one of the complaints that they had made in a report recently was the right-of-way, the charge of the right-of-way, which has prevented them from penetrating in certain states. And this is a conversation we have to revisit. We've talked about it a number of times in terms of how much is charged for these telcos and how the affordability of it and who they pass that cost burden to. Then, of course, in terms of the scarcity of notes, I just wanted to talk about the impact on the most vulnerable in society and also the value of Naira. So I was having a conversation before the show that I went to the POS and I paid 1,000 Naira for 10,000. I remember that the value of that money was now 9,000 Naira.
Imagine.
So talking about the impact and the far-reaching, I'm excited about this over the teller, but most importantly, I would say is that to make these notes available.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
We'll take a short break now, and when we return, we'll be talking to Abiodun Dabiri, Lagos State Central Senatorial candidate of the Labour Party. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Introducing an all-time mega offer. Get over 50% discount in the Airtel Home Broadband mega offer. Buy a router for just 10,000 Naira and get up to 240 gigabyte or a MiFi for 5,000 Naira and get up to 125 gigabyte bonus data. More data, more you. Reliable home broadband bar.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
My daughter-in-law, so how are you planning for my son's birthday? You have to cook for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No. It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chiji, okay. Hi, so wait the market. Please pack some ogirisi. Achi, Opo, Azumbasa. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law. It's arranged, but you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? It's very scarce. I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Isio Morocco. My daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited.
With 11 kobo per second calls to all networks, the only thing you run out of are things to say. Get a Glow SIM or dial *777# now.
That's Silk Boo.
There is a huge difference between the relative experience of salary earners and those of business owners and entrepreneurs. Someone who has never had cause to set up a business of his, who has never had cause to source for funds, turn it around, pay salaries, pay back the loan, and still make profit cannot be expected to be hands-on when saddled with an economy the size of Lagos. Experience that hasn't curbed Lagos's traffic in 24 years of their reign. Experience that hasn't addressed Lagos's perennial flood. Experience that currently leaves us with over 2 million out-of-school children. The duo of Jandor and Funke have been investing in Lagos's economy for about 2 decades, running their personal businesses, employing people with track records of success. Lagos needs a breath of fresh air. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
As you adjust to the new realities for operating your business and engaging with your customers, let us help you transform your business into a digital powerhouse capable of adapting and taking advantage of today's opportunities. With our best-in-class array of digital solutions, you can conduct your business, receive payments from your customers, and perform transactions quickly, safely, and conveniently, because we've got you covered with the right people, technology, and service offerings. Contact us today and let us take your business to its zenith. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The Lagos Central Senatorial District, which covers the local government areas of Apapa, Etiosa, Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland and Surulere, will be having additional third-force contender in the forthcoming election. Abiodun Abubakar Dabiri is an architect flying the Labour Party's flag in the February election for Lagos Central Senatorial District. Nonetheless, the journey that brought Abiodun Dabiri to this stage of the contest was very tumultuous. In his suit numbered FHC ABJ CS 1811-2022, Dabiri had stated that the refusal or omission by INEC to publish his name even when he was validly nominated as a candidate of the Labour Party contradicts the provisions of Section 32, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022. According to him, the court has the power to intervene and mandate INEC to recognize and publish his name as the candidate of the Labour Party for the Lagos Central Senatorial District of Lagos State and urge the court to hold so, which the court did. Joining us now to discuss his vision and mission as the candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos State or the Lagos Central Senatorial District is Abiodun Abubakar Dabiri. Good morning, Mr. Dabiri, and welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Well, before we begin to talk about vision and mission, let's start with the suit that she referred to. Because it looks like the Labour Party in Lagos, and in fact, with regard to Lagos Central, is divided. You have the Awamaridi faction, to which you belong. You have the Gbadebo Roosevelt faction. What I understand is that you are the candidate of the Awamaridi faction, while Adesumbo Onitiri is the candidate of the GRV faction, as they refer to it. And both parties, both factions, have resolved that they will fight all the way to the Supreme Court. What is the status of that, your battle in the Supreme Court? The elections are almost here. Let's clarify that.
Let me throw some light on that matter. It's a misconception that people have. Even within the party in Lagos, I always tell them there's only one Labour Party. There's nothing like Awamaridi faction or Roosevelt faction. Labour Party is one. I joined the Labour Party. Awamaridi happened to be the state chairman then. So I always try to clarify that when people make that misconception. Yes, and well, with regard to suit, well, I got judgment against Chief Onitiri, and Chief Onitiri actually contested primaries in PDP. He's a PDP member, you know, but you know how all these things happen in the political circles and all these things happen. So, well, he came to Labour Party late, but that matter has been dispensed with by the courts of relevant jurisdictions. So we're moving forward now and just focusing on the election. But there are no two factions. I don't think because people join you, then they become a faction. They join Labour Party, and we're all members of Labour Party. There's only one Labour Party in Lagos State, and it stands united.
Okay. No, I'm talking specifically about Lagos Central Senatorial race.
Yes, absolutely.
And you discover that recently, a group called Nigeria Decides did some polls on Lagos Central, the various political parties. And Wale Gomez of the PDP was rated first, followed by the candidate of the ADC. And I checked the list. Your name was not there. And the excuse they gave was that you were not covered by the polls because INEC has not published your name as the authentic Lagos Central candidate for the Labour Party.
Well, INEC would not publish any names when there's an ongoing suit in court. But INEC will publish based on the court judgment.
So the matter is still in court?
No. Well, judgment has been got. We got in judgment 2 weeks ago. So we take INEC. INEC will go through their own procedures to ensure the name is published. So the case has been won in court, dispensed with as far as I'm concerned.
So Onitiri lost out?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
The 2022 electoral law is clear on how to emerge as a candidate of a political party. And once you don't follow the process of emerging as a candidate for a political party, then you cannot be a candidate. It's very simple.
All right. Okay, so in terms of your campaign, I mean, besides the distraction, which must have taken a toll on the time in terms of campaigning with the people of Lagos Central.
Yes.
What are your chances? APC has a stronghold in this area. How's the Labour Party coming in too?
Well,
make a move?
You see, the strategy of Labour Party, as you know, the movement itself is organic, which means that there's a whole lot of people in different parts of that senatorial district that are aligned with Labour Party. Now, our job that's cut out for us, which we have been doing, is going to meet people in their wards, in their area, and which is something that has never been done before. And I must tell you that the support from the people is overwhelming. It is overwhelming. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a member of Labour Party, but that's just the word on the ground. And you're talking to someone who has been to all the wards in that senatorial district. So I know what's happening on the ground. Yeah.
Right.
Even in areas where we think may be strongholds of the ruling party, you find out there's so much disconnect between them and the people. People are saying that they need to see the candidates that they're going to contest for. Nobody wants to vote for a candidate that they haven't met. So that's the word on the street. And Labour Party is, with all the strength, with the strength of its membership, its organization, and also the support of the support groups and the people, we are taking it one door at a time. Door to door is what we're doing now.
Okay, you were saying just now that people came to Labour. You came to Labour Party. You were a governorship candidate in 2019 for ANRP, Abundant Renewal Party, at the Tokwe Fashowa's party.
Yes, absolutely.
You were a governorship candidate in 2019 for them. So you two just came. And when you look at this back and forth, and I see reasons why Dr. Abati was asking that question very pertinently. Yeah. You say it's one house, but when we spoke to Rhodes Vifor here the other day, he acknowledged the question raised by Dr. Abati.
Well,
so as we speak today, who is your governorship candidate in Lagos?
My neighbor Rhodes Vifor. I have an excellent relationship with him. When he came out under COA party years back as a local government chairman, I was the state chairman of ANRP, the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. We held a fundraising for him. We were supporting him. So someone I've known for years. So we didn't meet in a Labour Party. Now, let me clarify that. I was the state chairman of ANRP and later became the governorship candidate of ANRP. But our party was proscribed by INEC. We went to court to say, look, the electoral cycle hasn't run its full course. You cannot proscribe parties until all the elections have been done and then no. But that case we never won the case. The party was proscribed. So I moved to Labour because it shares the same ideals.
When did you leave to Labour? What year?
2021.
Okay.
Yes. I had met the then state chairman at IPAC, do you understand? And we had a very good relationship. He came from a background of activism. He's more of an activist, So naturally I gravitated towards that because of the ideals that Labour Party stood for. So I was in Labour Party before Obi came. But you see, I always try to say that, look, we shouldn't say, when you come is irrelevant. Once you join a party, you've joined the party. It's a party that you join. It's not about an individual. So I always try to correct that. A Labour Party is Labour Party. It doesn't matter when you come. As long as you come in and you go through the right processes and procedures that make you a valid member or a valid candidate, then everything else is...
What court gave you judgment recently, 2 weeks ago?
Federal High Court.
Federal High Court.
In Lagos.
Okay. Still talking about those cases. How strong is the Labour Party on the ground in Lagos? And I ask that question because you recall that towards the end of last year, Labour Party Lagos had about 68 cases at the Federal High Court in Abuja when Justice So had to say no. Those cases should go back to the Lagos the division where the course of action emanated from. Now you say yours has been determined and you won. How many of those other 68 cases, pre-election cases, the election is almost here, how many of those cases have been similarly resolved like yours?
Well, as of today, I would say that most of the cases have been dismissed. If there are any cases in court at all, it won't be more than one or two, a couple of handfuls.
Out of the 68?
Oh, yes. I can tell you that. It's been done. It's all been dismissed. Well, what happened in Labour Party was that because of the advent of the emergence of Peter Obi, it puts the party in the spotlight and a lot of people came in. So some of these things that we're having is, I don't want to say it's normal, but there are no parties with their own issues. All parties have their issues, and at some point it gets resolved and you focus on the work ahead, you pull together and you go for election. So Labour Party is not different.
All right. Okay, so you're up against the Deputy Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, the APC party, who beat other top frontliners in the APC to emerge as the candidate of the APC.
Yeah.
And I can already see you smiling. That's a tough contender. So I hear you when you say that, you've been to all the wards and Labour Party is quite strong in Lagos State. But it still begs the question as to how, and then even more importantly, perhaps on the strength of your plans for your senatorial district is what would put you in favorable light. Well, first of all, how do you hope to defeat such a strong candidate?
Well, being a strong candidate is a matter of perception. Okay. It's all perception as far as I'm concerned. What I represent, the obedient movement, Labour, what we represent is an idea that the time has come and it can't be stopped. And it's quite different from the politics that he's bringing to the table. It's a totally different, he's on one side, I'm on one side, and you cannot, whatever kind of political philosophy or idea that you have, you can't sustain it forever. At some point, the people are it's not going to work anymore if you don't change, and the people are going to buy into what they feel works for them. So what works for the people of Lagos State and Nigeria in general is they believe that they can do better. They want representatives that they know, they can communicate with, they have seen. Things that be important enough to come and see them, And then you now start talking about policies. What policies do you have? What are you bringing to the table?
So what policies would you be pushing?
Okay, for me, I think that one of the most fundamental things we need to look at is what is citizenship in Nigeria? What is the right of a Nigerian citizen? If a child is born in this country, from the day it is born, what rights does it have as a Nigerian child? These are one of the things that are important to me. And I think that if we do not hold our legislators accountable and they now define it, so it's like there's a contract between the government and the people, then we begin to see things happen differently. What is the Nigerian life worth? If a Nigerian dies, what is the responsibility of the government? These are some of the salient issues that I think that I would like to talk about. I would like to ensure that we bring to the forefront if I do get there.
Well, can you be a bit more specific? Because that's quite broad in terms of the Nigerian life. What are some of your what's your agenda specific if you get to the Senate?
Well, like I said, I would like to ensure that every Nigerian citizen, and it is clearly stated that you have a right to life, you have a right to freedom of association, freedom to practice your religion, freedom to ensure that you live properly. The government has a contract to provide you accommodation. The government has a contract to provide security. Some of the problems that plague us are these things that should have been written out and everybody knows. Okay, I'll give you an example of what happens in Lagos. I don't believe that urbanization should now render people homeless or you take away their market because of redevelopment. There must be a law that says that if you break down with market, you need to provide them alternatives. Now, if you're going to do urbanization, even if people are living in shanties, you must provide them alternatives if you're going to break down and redevelop it. Now, this is legislation because it's a broad thing. It will affect Nigerians all over the country. So if it's entrenched in it and governments see that this is a law is there and there's someone to hold them accountable, some of the problems that Nigerians are facing today will not be there. I'll give you another issue. We have the issue of estimated billing by the discos. It has been lingering for a long time. I've personally experienced it. I was getting estimated bills of 80,000 a month. The minute I got a prepaid meter, after struggling and fighting for it, I was doing 25 a month. So people are groaning under this thing. It's a very serious problem. And legislation can do it, holding people accountable to Nigerian citizens. It's a broad thing that people will experience everywhere in the country. So I do believe that there are several of these kind of issues that I think that the legislatures should look into to protect our citizens.
You're an architect by training.
Yes.
And you're in a city that is endemic with collapsed buildings. What are going to be your legislative conversations around that?
Well, you know that building control is under state. But that does not mean that at the federal level we cannot make certain laws to complement whatever the state is doing. But I think that you find out that the laws are even already there. What's happening is compromise of government officials towards that. The laws are there. If you look at Nigerian laws, we have some of the best, but do we actually enforce them? So as long as we have a society where we do not have consequences for actions, things will continue to be that way. What we need in Nigeria is to ensure that there's consequences for action. Okay, we've had all these buildings, let's take Lagos as an example. We've had all these building collapse in Lagos. Has anybody been prosecuted? Nobody has been prosecuted. So you find out that once things are done, once they remove, you are retired or suspended or removed, that seems to be the end of the story. And I don't think that it is. We must have consequences for actions. The minute we begin to have consequences for actions, I think we'll see a better country.
In parts of the country, there have been reports of members of the Labour Party going to another party, the PDP. How strong is the bond among the various party members in Lagos State? Do you have any anxiety that we're likely to also have that kind of situation just before the election in Lagos State? Some of your members moving to another party?
Well, I would say that I won't act like a political neophyte that doesn't know what's going on. You know, Labour Party had an implosion of people within a very short space of time. And some of the strategies of the other parties, some of the major parties, is to send their members to join with you. So it gives you the impression that you have people and then the last minute they pull out. So I would say that if it happens, it's just part of the way politics is played in our country. And there's very little that we as a party can do about that. But that does not mean that we feel that it will be enough to determine the course of the election. Those people would have. You have fifth elements. Even in other major parties too, you have fifth elements. So that doesn't bother us. I think that's part of the game, and we've hedged our bets against that already. So it will not affect us.
Okay, thank you very much, Abiodun Dabiri, Lagos Central Senatorial District candidate of the Labour Party in Lagos State. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Ojinika Okpe will be here with details on what's trending. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Imagine your wallet can be everything. Well, almost everything your bank is to you. That's exactly what First Money Wallet is. First Money Wallet from First Bank is another swift and seamless way to bank from your mobile phone. It doesn't matter if you have a First Bank account or not, nor the mobile network you use. Everyone can open a First Money Wallet, and it's very easy. Your phone number is your account number. With First Money Wallet, you can send money using just a phone number, receive money, pay bills, buy airtime and data for yourself or someone else, and check balance. You don't need a bank account at all or BVN to enjoy the boundless possibilities First Money Wallet offers. All you need is a registered phone number, and you can fund your wallet easily through your First Bank account or any bank account and debit card. What's more, First Money Wallet is highly secure with fingerprint technology and PIN. And when you need cash, just walk up to any First Money agent near you to withdraw money. No smartphone, no wahala. Just dial *894*1# on any phone. So it doesn't matter if you live in the city or the remotest part of the country. With First Money Wallet, your transactions are easy, seamless, and secure. Download the First Money Wallet app now. Input your phone number and follow the prompts, or simply dial *894*1#. All money now on First Money. You first. First Bank.
My name is Kashim Shetima. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and now a public servant by calling. I was the governor of Borno State for 8 years. In the heat of the Boko Haram, we set up an agricultural transformation committee. We crisscrossed the world and invested in the whole agricultural value chain. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of landmass, 3,577 square kilometers. But the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Imota in Lagos. That is the power of ideas. Bola Tinubu is an idea whose time has come. Let us vote for Bola Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria come 25th of February. God bless Nigeria.
As a player, there's nothing better than the roar of your crowd. But in Nigeria, there's a roar that may not be heard again. With fewer than 50 lions left, they could be extinct in the next few years, from loss of habitat and prey, and snares set for illegal bushmeat. So please, say no to illegal bushmeat. Let's keep the roar alive for Nigeria, because poaching steals from us all.
Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Joining us now is Ojinika Ojiope with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jonix.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you? Everyone's always waiting for that introduction. Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning,
Ayomi, how are you
I'm
this
very
morning?
well, thanks. How are you too?
Great. I'm excited. Today is the first day for Arise Fashion Week.
That's
I'm
true.
really excited. I can't wait. Good morning, Rufai.
Morning, Ajit, as well.
Great. Well, all
Are
right.
you going to be on the catwalk this year?
That's a surprise. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Well, let's begin what's trending. The governor of Akwa Ibom State, Udom Emmanuel, has responded to jabs thrown at him by the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who on Monday tackled the governor for supporting the presidential bid of Atiku Abubakar, the flag bearer of the People's Democratic Party.
Akwa Ibom, you will not suffer again. That boy will bring Atiku here. Where they call himself governor. Tell him enough is enough. Tell him enough is enough. He live in my backyard in Lagos. If not be because we be one, I will drive him home.
Well, Udom Emmanuel, in a swift response on Tuesday while addressing newly appointed state officials, said that Tinubu should focus on what he intends to do if elected president, rather than launch personal attacks on individuals, that political campaigns should be addressing issues affecting the country and not attacks on individuals. Let's take a listen before we come back for a discussion.
When you leave what you can do for people, I've been talking about other people, it means you don't have anything to offer people. And you know, like today, if I wanted to answer Asiwaju, I mean, he wouldn't carry the kind of insult that would have insulted him. I've given you international stadium. I've given all the respect. You are coming. He said that boy that brought Atiku here and called himself a governor. What an insult. In a whole state. And then our people were there clapping, other governors were there. What an insult. If you don't have anything to tell people, then you come and go. I also go to other states. If you watch our campaign, my principal had never spoken about any governor. My principal had never spoken about Asiwaju openly before. I don't want to answer him, but I will answer him one day. And he should forget, when Asiwaju came back from Nadeko, the first point he launched out to become a politician today was on my table in my office. I can tell you the exact amount that was given unto him. And today, the first person, coming to my state, I've given you all the cooperation, the stadium that I maintain, the airport you are landing. I'm the one maintaining the airport, not the federal government. I've never gotten the support from federal government by 1 naira before. I've applied for a free trade zone because of the MRO. Up to today, the federal government has not answered me. So I gave you everything. The apron you are packing, I'm the one that doing that. And Akwa people are just there watching him. I mean, come on, he's insulting 7.9 million people. I don't think there is any Akwa Ibom person that can get into Lagos. He's not even from Lagos. That can get to wherever he's coming from and then be insulting them, and then that Akwa Ibom person would have left that day.
I don't know what he means, but I don't have time to respond to Tinubu at this point. I mean, that was some serious...
Well, he destroyed him.
Complete.
Yes, and he was there, and he gave receipts as well.
Yes.
We love when this happens because we hear stories that we didn't know happened, ensued. So, for instance, that he, on his table, gave Asiwaju money, post Nadeko, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that and as he said rightly, coming to his state where he, the governor, had provided. We talked about Governor Wike earlier on, and even how, River State he's not promoting River State as a multi-party state, whereby, intimidating opposition parties. And here we have in Oyo, Akwa Ibom State, where Asiwaju went for his part of his campaign activities, and then spent time talking about the governor. This is not the first time. He's famously referred to the governor of Ogun State as Elei, and he's referred to other people in quite condescending words. And just echoing what the governor of Akwa Ibom State said, let him focus on the issues. Absolutely. It gives credence to what he said, that he doesn't have what to say to the people when he goes on campaign grounds to either insult others or dance or, lift up or just make, jests about other people. Let him talk about what he would do for Akwa Ibom, and let him begin to speak like the president of Nigeria, who would unite people with his words and not insult the opposition. Is this what we should expect if he becomes president, whereby we'll spend a considerable amount of time with his speeches talking about how this person did X, this person didn't do Y, and he's done it not just against other parties, but now even within his party members. We'll talk about that later.
Dr. Abati.
Okay, let's take the two one after the other. This saga, Tinubu versus Udom Emmanuel. Let's start with the presidential candidate of the APC. He said that boy that hosted Atiku and calls himself governor. Well, it will not be fair. I know Udom Emmanuel was born maybe in 1966, so he's much younger than Asiwaju Tinubu. But Emmanuel has been chief financial officer of a bank. Emmanuel has been commissioner. Emmanuel has been governor. That he has become a man, even if he's a younger person. So I agree with the governor if he says that it's very insulting to just dismiss him like that. Another thing that Asiwaju Tinubu said was that he lived in my backyard in Lagos. I think if we have the opportunity, we would like to ask Asiwaju to explain what it means to live in the backyard. Is he trying to suggest that Udom Emmanuel came to Lagos as a houseboy? Because the innuendo. No, wait. Let me finish. So if that is what he's suggesting, it will look like hate speech. And it will be most unfair. And we've been saying political campaigns should be devoid of hate speech. Number 3, Asiwaju Tinubu in the video that was played said, enough is enough. Well, enough is enough. I hope you know who owns the copyright.
Only one candidate, one person.
The enough is enough person in the grammar of politics in this 2023 is Wike. I hope Asiwaju Tinubu understands that copyright. Now let's go to Udom Emmanuel. Governor Udom Emmanuel did what he should do. I mean, we've been saying that there should be level playing field. Nobody should harass members of the opposition. And in his own case, he played a good host. He said, he made facilities available. He showed the guests of the state enough respect. Sheer civility. The expectation would be that, such a very nice host is shown due respect. As they say in Common Palace, respect is reciprocal. So Asiwaju, having not observed that principle, has now forced the governor to respond in almost equal measure. And he too will still need to give us some clarifications. He said when Asiwaju came back from Nadeco, that the money he used to launch himself into politics was from his desk. So we need some clarification there. Is it that the governor, at the time, when he was maybe chief financial officer at Zenith Bank, or maybe when he was working in Diamond Bank, did he donate money to Asiwaju, or Asiwaju Tinubu came to the bank to collect his own money that is in the bank? If it's his own money that he came to collect, that should not be a big issue to play politics with. But he made a very strong point about campaign being based on principles. And he said his own principle doesn't go about abusing people, and that in his own party, they campaign based on principles. You can add to that based on issues. And that was why he ended by saying, if you come to a stage, if you don't have anything to say, then just wave at people or dance a little and go away. But to now use the opportunity to be abusing, a very nice host would be, unfair. But in any case, we have the drama. It provides good entertainment. All of this, as I always say, will be resolved when the election is won and lost. And I hope after that, people will still have enough good relations, enough amity to be able to go beyond politics and relate, as human beings.
Absolutely. Rufai.
I mean, wow. It's amazing. At first, Governor Udom Emmanuel said he didn't want to say anything, but he said too much already. He destroyed the table totally. Please, I would like to beg candidates to please belittling people. They should stop belittling people. And I've sensed that in Nigerian society. Once people are older than the other people, they belittle them, they talk down on them and say, oh, look at that one, that small boy. No, nobody's a small boy. Governor Udom Emmanuel is a man. He's achieved a lot for himself. Not too many people become governor. But let us extrapolate the things he said. Dr. Abati, I second that motion of I would truly like to know how much even was exchanged and whose money was it? Was it Governor Emmanuel donating to the Tinubu 1999 aspiration? Where did that money come from? Was it personal money? People need to be able to make clarification on things like this because Nigerians deserve to know. We can't have a country where money exchange hands. Now, they themselves are not talking about this money and we can't ask questions. We should be able to ask questions. Secondly, this idea of somebody lives in my backyard, please, for the upton time, let us stop this idea of somebody lives in my backyard. Nobody owns Lagos. Nobody made Lagos. Everybody can lay claim to Lagos. Lagos was a British crown colony from the late 1800s. And there'd been major developments in Lagos. Lagos had electricity as at the 1920s, even before most European cities.
There's been a massive level of development in Lagos.
Absolutely.
And I've been doing something on my pages on social media, the history of Lagos, because a lot of people need to know that this Lagos you are seeing had emerged long ago. We had ordinances about Lagos where streets of the Lagos Island were mapped out. The reclamation of the land that is Ikoyi today was done in the 1920s. We had waterworks in Lagos, pipe-borne water, as at the 1920s, 1930s. This Victoria Island beach was set aside to be an area for recreation for British colonial officers as at the late 1800s, the 1890s. We had a currency union in Lagos. So please, let us stop this talk about Lagos and my backyard and anybody. No, I think we need to stop that conversation. And you know why I'm saying it? For the sake of the children that are just coming up that were not taught history.
Okay. All right. Well said.
And please, let us campaign cleanly and stop abusing people. This has to stop. Okay. But we need to get to the nitty-gritty of that money that exchange hands.
That's fine. We'll take another story. The internal wranglings within the All Progressives Congress took a dramatic turn on Tuesday after the governor of Kaduna State alleged on live television that some persons within the government are not happy with the outcome of the APC presidential primary and as such are working against the party winning the election.
I believe that there are elements in the villa that want us to lose the elections because they didn't get their way. They had their candidate. Their candidate didn't win the primaries. And I think they are still trying to get us to lose the elections. And they are hiding behind the president's desire to do what he thinks is right.
Well, many have reacted to El-Rufai's allegations, including the federal government, through its Minister of Culture and Information, Lai Mohammed, who on Tuesday, while addressing journalists at the State House, said that the federal government is not aware of any Aso Villa elements sabotaging or allegedly sabotaging the APC, and that the focus of the President Muhammadu Buhari administration is ensuring credible elections.
One thing I can assure you is that no matter who, this administration is focused and determined to ensure a free and fair election. And I think this administration and those that matter now, who was the most important person in this administration to me is Mr. President. And I think he has shown by words and by deed that is committed to a free, fair, and credible election. And fair, free, and credible election actually means not favoring anybody or disadvantaging anybody. And everywhere he goes, he makes that very clear. Even as recently as Friday, when he was in Daura, he said the same thing. So if there's anybody who's working against any candidate, we don't know officially.
Well, meanwhile, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, who is the grand patron of the Tinubu Shetima Women Campaign Team and who has been quite vocal about fifth columnist in the presidential villa, took to her Instagram account on Tuesday to share the video clip of El-Rufai speaking about the elements in the presidential villa that are sabotaging the APC with the caption, "Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria." I'm coming to you, Ayo, straight about Aisha Buhari. You know, she has been quite vocal about the cabal. Yes. I mean, that's what she called it in 2016. You know, she said she may not support President Muhammadu Buhari. And then in 2019, she came out to say that there are bad people in Aso Rock. What do you make about that and El-Rufai's comment?
Okay, so like we asked, we had
juxtaposing both
with hers. Yes, we had an interview earlier on, and then we asked as to who, Mr. Ajiboye, the Deputy Director of Media of the APC-PCC, and we asked him if they could name these members. It's not enough. I think we've heard enough about the cabals. And if they're bold enough to keep coming out to talk about them, in the interest of the people of Nigeria, can they mention who these people are? And then in terms of Alhaji Lai Mohammed saying that the president has promised free, fair and credible election, that's all well and good. In the spirit of fairness and freeness, it is also important for them to allow their presidential candidate to campaign without sabotage. So the issue here is on sabotage. So if it is truly a free, fair, and credible election, it means that you're not favoring, neither are you trying to sabotage the campaigns of anyone, whether it be Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whether it be Mr. Peter Obi, whether it be Waziri Atiku Abubakar. It means there's a level playing ground for everyone to play. So the issue here is about sabotage. And then when you make statements like this, you begin to wonder, Nigerians begin to wonder that what is really going on in the APC. Earlier on, I'd said with the PDP, we are aware of who the cabal, G5 governors are very vocal. They even have Ashwebi when they go for events. So they have taken their stance, and they have stated the reason why they've taken that stance. In the APC, who are these people, and why have they chosen not to support their own presidential candidate? So these are questions that Nigerians are asking, and then again, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Absolutely. If the party itself does not believe in their own candidates, why should Nigerians believe in their candidates?
I'll take you up on that. A house divided cannot stand. We'll take another story. Amid growing pressure to announce his preferred candidate in the forthcoming presidential election, the Rivers State Governor, Nyesom Wike, has denied ever making a public pronouncement that he will announce his preferred presidential candidate, stating that he never told the public the method by which he would disclose his choice. Well, many have reacted to his comments, especially because he made the declaration in public during an inauguration ceremony in Rivers State.
January next year, I will campaign to my people whom they will vote for. I will campaign to my people whom they will vote for. So all of you who have been suspects, who have been saying all kinds of things, abusing me, wait. January has come. January has come. Not only will I tell them where they will vote, I will move from state to state and why they should vote for the people I think they should vote for. Nothing will happen. So all of you appearing on television, abusing me, don't waste your saliva again. January is a come. January is a
All right, let's take some reactions. Well, this person wrote, January has come and gone. Still no show. So it's only 3 weeks of support that Wike is planning to give his candidate. Campaign started 4 months ago. And up till now, he's still they play hide and seek. A very unserious fellow, full of vibes and insha flyover. Well, JJ Omojua wrote, did Wike announce his candidate like he said he would? Because tomorrow is not January 32nd. If he didn't, that's proof that posturing like a lion is one thing. Being a lion is another. If he did, irrespective of who he chose as his candidate, he is a lion. Well, Dakuku wrote, well, actually, the former Director General of the Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dakuku Peterside, reacting to Wike's comments, described the governor as lacking courage, tact, reason, and finesse. In a statement released on Tuesday, Peterside challenged Wike to name his presidential candidate. His statement read in part, Wike avoids difficult conversations, lacks vision, and pursues personal interests above people's interests. I dare Wike to tell the people the presidential candidate he is supporting, if he is a man. He had promised his fans that he will unveil his candidate latest January, but he lacks the courage to take a position. Dr. Abati.
Well, I mean, into all of this, Wike too has responded. If you want to add to the people who criticize him, add Jackson Ude, who says Wike is afraid of suspension. Add to it the statement signed by Senator Sekibo reacting to the withdrawal of approval for the use of the Amiksimeka Stadium, in which Wike was accused of anti-party activity, and that he is not in a position to accuse anybody else. Add to it, Bashorun Dele Momodu's statement, who says, look, the whole thing has ended as an anticlimax, and that if it is true that Wike is supporting Tinubu in Rivers State, then he shouldn't even expect that even if Tinubu gets 25% in Rivers State, the credit will not go to him. The credit will go to Rotimi Amechi and Tonye Cole, who is the candidate of the party in the state. Add to it, Shehu Sani, who says, look, this whole G5 matter has come to a dead end, just as said Bashorun Dele Momodu said. But Wike said in Port Harcourt yesterday that he never told anybody that he will make an announcement on camera. That the people who know him and his people who are his followers, they already know who he wants as presidential candidate. But as the people are saying, he promised he must come and announce on camera that they are mumu, that there are people who don't understand politics, and that's not how politics is played. Anyway, the lesson of all this is that when you grandstand, when you overpromise and you raise expectations, you end up under-delivering. But I think the strongest point is the fact that if he announces openly, then of course he will be guilty of anti-party activities, and the PDP can suspend him or expel him, and that will also affect those candidates, that are not Atiku that is promoting, but who are members of the PDP, and they are his followers. So the G5 governors, they know that the risk that they run is quite a very serious one. But if you challenge Governor Wike, he will turn it into a song. As he dey sweet us, he go dey pain them. As he dey sweet us, these guys think that this whole thing is a joke. But we Nigerian people, we think it's serious business that must be taken seriously.
Absolutely.
Anyway, it just shows that Governor Wike didn't think this through, and like I always said, if you're going to fight somebody, have an end plan. And he missed the end plan. So there was nothing about this G5 Shakara. In the spirit of songs, Fela Kuti sang, Irọ́ ni o kò lè jà, òjé ló jẹ́, kí ló ṣe ń pè? Ṣàkàrà olóòjé ni, ṣàkàrà olóòjé ni o, ṣàkàrà olóòjé ni, ṣàkàrà olóòjé.
Anyway, we have to go now.
For your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. This was fun. Well, that's all I have for you on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
And that's all on today's edition of The Morning Show. Rochus Odiri will be here next to take you through global business reports. Stay with us. It's Syria Rise News Channel.
There is only one place that the world will come to run on Saturday the 4th of February 2023. Over bridges, waterfronts, running across 10 kilometers and 42 kilometers of asphalt. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon will be targeting 100,000 runners from around the world, ready to flood the streets of Lagos. The 10-kilometer race will set off at 9:30 a.m. at the Grace Court Garden Events Place, Durosimi Eti, Lekki Phase 1, while the 42-kilometer race will set off at 6:30 a.m. in front of the iconic National Stadium, Surulere, and both races will finish on top of the sandy shores of the stunning Echo Atlantic City. From Oshodi to Oworu, Alakbere to Admiralty, Ikoyi to Echo Atlantic, the race is routed through the warm, meandering feet blistering streets of this historic city. So what are you waiting for? Get ready to push beyond the limit. Access Bank Lagos City Marathon 2023. Make it count.
My people, my name is Emeka, Mekus Kamat. Let me get all this motor. I don't learn my lesson. Somebody come buy motor for my hand, carry big money, come give me. Now when we get bust, now my eye open. I don't know say that 419 be. Now when EFCC babam, now they come bab me too. Now he make me they warn you, all of them want to do business like me. where they carry big money. Well, sometimes I go carry transfer, carry bring back. Yeah, they could not shine in my eye because the Special Control Unit against money laundering, what they call SCUMO, they don't want to say if the money pass 5 million naira for individual, no collect them. If it pass 10 million naira for company, no collect them. Can I go where? Bank. If you not do them like that, 250,000 naira for every day where this offense happen. Or they go suspend your license, or they go shut them down.